Ja, und ich bin's wieder, Kesunai Haram, hier mit meinem Let's Play von Ace Attorney Investigations Prosecutor's Path. Und, ja, jetzt spitzt sich so die Sache ein bisschen zu. Und jetzt wollen wir Courtney endlich mal davon überzeugen, dass Keith nicht der Mörder ist, sondern tatsächlich jemand anderes. Wollen wir mal wieder hören, was sie zu sagen hat. If the body came from the courtyard, how was Mr. Knightley brought here from the detention center? Only Sam and Keith could have provided such an opportunity. Because of this fact, I find it most difficult to suspect any other party of this crime. While Sam and Keith was moving supplies for a show, he visited Mr. Knightley's cell. Does that not strike you as odd? Why else would he have brought a large covered cage with him? Oh, that does seem pretty suspicious. Mr. Keith was merely that kind of person. It is entirely possible that he carelessly brought it there. If that is possible, then it is also possible that he was assisting in the escape. Am I wrong? I suppose I must refute her theory with evidence. Wenn wir welches hätten. Muss man mal gucken. Entkräftung! Reason for suspicion. So. This fact is kind of most specific. Mal eben angreifen. Are you certain that he was the only person who had the opportunity? Have you forgotten? This is a prison. Due to the constant supervision, it would be impossible to do anything unusual. Then, wouldn't it be the same for Mr. Keith? The warden has shown favor to the very big circus. Simon Keith is a circus member. Miss Barry's apprentice, no less. It could only have been him. It was able to move about freely within the facility. It seems that you forgot to mention that. The word forget does not exist in my dictionary. Then it would be prudent for you to add this to your argument. Mr. Keith may have been the only person who could move around freely in the prison. But on the day of the murder, there was a gap in time missing from the surveillance records. During that time, anyone could have done as they pleased. Do I have proof of this gap in the surveillance records? No, ja. Wir haben ja immer noch die Sicherheitskamera. Mr. Keith wasn't the only one who had the opportunity. Who else could have had the opportunity? The timestamp on the security camera is off by 3 hours. This means there was a 3-hour gap in time. During that time, anyone could have done it. If that were the case, then the murderer would have created the gap in time intentionally. It would not have been a simple camera failure. Are you saying that is possible? It's possible. If you had access to this. Ja, hier dieser Schalter. In this courtyard, we found the circuit breaker for the security camera. And it was possible to access the breaker room both before and after the murder. What? Unfortunately, it appears that you have fallen short of your intentions. Mr. Edgeworth hasn't fallen short of anything! So, can you explain how the murderer obtained the key to the breaker room? Oh yeah, that's right. It was locked, wasn't it? The warden hangs on to the key, right? The breaker room has great importance even in a prison. There's no one who would be able to obtain the key so easily. Objection! Well, I can think of someone. What did you say? This person, the murderer, was able to get the key. They didn't even need to steal it. There can't be anyone like that! Besides, the breaker to the electrified fence is in that room too! Only one person could have done this. I didn't want to believe it myself, but I trust that my logic is sound. The person who used the key to enter the breaker room is... Die einzige, die Zugang zum Schlüssel hat. Patricia Rowland. The murderer is... Ach, wenn man von ihr spricht. Warden Rowland. Oh my, what an energetic little puppy. That's because this dog is extremely fond of sweets. It seems to detect a sweet scent on you. Oh, heavens no. I'm not even wearing perfume or anything of the sort. What the dog detects is the sweet scent of death. Oh, shots are fired. How poetic. However, does that not imply that I committed a murder? That's what I think. Und warum slappst du dich jetzt extra? What? The warden is the murderer? Mr. Edgeworth, are you serious about your statement? How amusing. The very thought of a warden committing a murder. Ja, knutsch mal hier weiter deine Stola. It sounds like something out of a mystery novel. Precisely. Your reasoning is in contempt. Nothing of the sort. I did not want to believe it myself, but... based on the evidence, I have no choice but to believe it. This evidence proves that Warden Rowland is the murderer. Lass doch mal gucken. Was haben wir denn da? Etwa wegen dem süßen Geruch? The smell gave you away. As you can plainly see, someone has taken notice. Guter Hund. This police dog? He tracked the sweet smell that came from the body. And right now, he is telling us that the same scent is also on Warden Rowland. You're cruel one to accuse me of murder based on something like that. Right, Justine, darling. It appears that Judge Courtney has reached the same conclusion as I have. Mr. Edgeworth, this couldn't have been just a coincidence, could it? The key to the breaker room and the same scent on the body. If it were only one, it could have been seen as such. It appears we have reached a conclusion. We should now listen to what the warden has to say. Indeed, until we do, we cannot close this case. Oh my goodness, everyone with such scary faces. So I'm the only one who could have been the murderer. That just cannot be. Beweis doch mal das Gegenteil, Frau. Bin ich mal gespannt. I heard all about the case from Justine, darling, here. Had I committed a murder, it would take place inside the holding cell. But I couldn't have moved the body. I never went into the prison. I was caught up in my work. Up until the show, I was stuck in my office. Check up on it if you like. You'll find there's no record of me entering the prison. I don't know what reasoning you had, but I can say for sure. I cannot be the killer.
But Missile barked at you, pal! You've got to be the culprit!
Oh heavens, it's not possible. I already told you, I never went to the prison. If you think I'm lying, why don't you check the records?
She wants us to check the records? She does seem confident. For now, all we can do is listen to her and try to draw out more information.
I do hope you understand, Mr. Edgeworth.
Na, ich understande nichts. Vielleicht hilfst du mir ja auf die Sprünge. Frau. Entkräftung! Why I can't be the killer.
Also?
Okay. Ich finde das mit der Stola immer noch voll süß. Das ist so richtig. Na gut. Dann mal auschecken. You did not enter the prison from the entrance. But what if there was another route?
Oh my, are you suggesting something like a secret passage? I don't know if anything like that exists.
It is my firm belief you did possess an alternate route. That route was neither the entrance nor a secret passage. The route you used was from here. Ja, genau. Sie ist über den Courtyard gegangen. The barbed wire fence? The barbed wire fence? You would have moved nightly to your office first. This office leads directly to the garden side of the courtyard. If you had moved through here and past the barbed wire fence, you would have arrived at the prison without passing through the entrance or tunnel. Macht Sinn.
I wonder what Mr. Edgeworth is saying. Haven't you noticed? There's a high voltage current running through the fence.
Yeah, obviously she couldn't have passed through it like that. The current to the fence could be switched off at the breaker room. And you were the only one who had the key, Warden Roland.
Most amusing. However, the breaker room is located to the prison side of the courtyard. How would the warden have accessed it from the detention center? Ah, quite right. Gotcha there, Mr. Edgeworth.
That's...
If there's no record of her passing through the prison entrance,
it would not have been possible for her to turn off the fence breaker. But Warden Roland was the only one who had access. Don't let this face you, Miles. But if I don't have a solution for this, she'll get away. Now, Uncle Ray never said don't think, you know. It's just not good to be so stubborn about it, that's all. But no matter how you think about it, Warden Roland couldn't have done this alone.
Prosecutor Edgeworth, if you have faith to come...
Ups, da habe ich sie wieder mal unterbrochen. Ich bin so böse.
I am not amused, interrupting my judgment only to be silent.
Without thinking, I just blurted out objection. I have to answer. I won't let this end here. My reasoning is not over yet. So, how did she use the breaker without leaving the detention center? It's perfectly possible. With this method. What made it possible to turn off the breaker? Das wurde ja vorhin schon von weggenommen. Sie hatte eine Art Komplizen. It was indeed impossible for one person. But what if there were two? Exactly. Just what I expected from you, Miles. Yes, you had an accomplice on the prison side. Enough. I'm disappointed in you, Prosecutor Edgeworth. What's that, pal? You making fun of Mr. Edgeworth? The inmates at this prison all wear bracelets. If they try and go where they please, they will set off the alarm. Ah! So you've noticed. This is a prison after all. Not only the prisoners, but the guards too, are under constant scrutiny. So why didn't anyone notice Albert? The only ones allowed to move around freely are the animals. And they certainly could not have used a breaker. But it's still possible that a person did it. Excluding the inmates and the guards, just what kind of person would you say it was? We can't exclude the inmates and guards just yet. There was only one person. One whose movement was not restricted. This evidence shows that there was someone in the prison who could move around freely. Ach, ja. Hier, das Armband von Sowet war ja bis zu diesem Zeitpunkt kaputt. That is, it looks like the bracelet worn by the prisoners. This belongs to a certain model inmate, and it's broken. What? Just who on earth does this belong to? Frank Sowet, the warden's favorite inmate. Natürlich, der Liebling des Wardens ist der Komplize. Du bist so erbärmlich, Frank. Aha! Jetzt fängt sie an zu schwitzen. Don't you think it's strange? He managed to keep this hidden while he moved around freely in his daily prison life. Golly, when you think about it, it shouldn't be possible. I'd hazard a guess that this was because he was a special case. Just like Sehr and Dogen in the special cell. The prosecutor's statement is mere conjecture. You could find out by simply asking Sowet himself. It is my firm belief that Mr. Sowet and Warden Rowland were partners in crime. Due to their collaboration, another route surfaces. The real route by which Knightley's body was moved to the prison. There were two obstacles that needed to be dealt with. The security camera in front of Knightley's cell. And the electricity fence in the courtyard. Both these problems could have been solved with a single stroke. By having Sowet switch off the breakers in the breaker room. Mr. Edgeworth, could you wait one moment? Do you still intend to deny it, Warden Rowland? I give in. I confess. Warden Rowland! No, this cannot be. Yes, it's just as he says. Frank Sowet and I were partners in crime. No way! You did it, Mr. Edgeworth! Well done, Miles. At last we have a real culprit cornered. Like Mr. Edgeworth said, Frankie operated the breaker. But we were not responsible for Knightley's murder. What? Warden Rowland, whatever do you mean? Judge Courtney, would the goddess of law hear my confession? The goddess of law is merciful. She will absolve you. I was being threatened. Uh-huh. That's why
I had no choice but to do as I was told.
So, who was threatening you?
Tyrann Dogen, the assassin.
Dogen?
It's been going on since that man came to the prison. I will never forget that day.
Oh. Okay, das ist echt ein gruseliges Bild.
When we were both alone, he suddenly said to me, I have many dogs outside the prison.
Dogs?
Loyal dogs who obey my every command. I soon realized what Dogen referred to were not really dogs, but his human henchmen. And that's not all he has said. You'd better watch how you treat me. If you don't want you and your family to become dog food. I had no choice. I gave him the special cell. I gave him anything he desired.
Anything he desired? You don't mean the supplier?
That's right. Anything he ordered, I would deliver to him. An underground dealership. I was the one who won over Frankie. It was simple. I just offered him special privileges within the prison. And these underground dealings? Once a week in the middle of the night, Frankie would shut off 2 of the breakers, so he could move from office to the courtyard without being seen with a security camera. I would go past the fence and drop the goods down the well near the prison. And then I'd sprinkle this perfume over it.
So that's the true identity of the sweet scent.
The scent of perfume was a signal for Dogen's dog. After picking up the scent, it would carry the goods to Dogen. Of course, this had to be done while Albert was away from his cell.
I'm surprised he never found out about it, pal.
We have a strict timetable here at the prison. Mealtime, exercise time. It's easy to know when he's away from his cell. And since little Rocky is afraid of Dogen's dog, I didn't have to worry about him making noise.
So, having full knowledge of the prisoner's inner workings, she made the deliveries herself. Alter! Das ist schon krass. This would have ensured there were no slip-ups.
Frankie would turn the breakers back on in the early morning and the delivery was complete. I then notified the timestamp on the security camera.
You have told us a great deal. The goddess of law accepts your penitent confession.
As the warden of the prison, how could I have done such a foolish thing? The day Knightley was killed was also a delivery day. It seems Frankie was working the breakers as usual. But that day I had nothing to send, so I did not go to the courtyard at all.
The secret of the supply system. So then Warden Roland was...
The police have been searching for Dogen's henchmen for ages. I've also been helping them, but I've been interrogating him personally in my office, but no matter how much evidence we have on him, you can't get a single word out of him.
So the reason you kept on interrogating him?
Yes. It was to find his henchman. I bought all the evidence from the police and carried out the interrogation myself. I kept an eye on all his actions and examined all of his mail. Mail? Like his correspondence, chess letters. I could never uncover the true identity of his henchman. This fear, it's something you could never understand. Prosecutor Edgeworth, you were listening, right? I'd say this confession clears the warden of all suspicion. Is it really necessary to press her further than this? Is it necessary to press her further? Das Ganze kommt mir ja schon noch etwas spanisch vor. So. Irgendwie kann man das nicht so stehen lassen. Aber okay, das lass mal im nächsten Part klären. Egal ob positiv oder negativ, Bewertung immer gern gesehen. Das war's von meiner Seite. Wir sehen uns das nächste Mal wieder. Sehr, Guys!